So, how did I end up in state of Arizona? Yes, I am currently in state of Nevada. So, where do I begin? Uh, in the year 2000, I worked in an accounting firm for tax season. I was a temp or a temporary worker, and I was not hired from a temp agency, but I was asked if I want to work there by somebody I know since I was like 5 years old, Mr. Zuckerman and Mrs. Zuckerman. So Mrs. Arlene Zuckerman and Mr. Marty Zuckerman, they caught me in my house that I had that could work for the accounting firm after I resigned from working at the Milwaukee County Courthouse. So I had time to work because I was done with working at the Milwaukee County Courthouse, and I needed food money, was why I can afford to work. But I don't have food money when I'm not working. So when I interviewed with the accounting firm, the interview was set up by Mr. Zuckerman, I guess, but it was with somebody else named Pat. Am I right about that? I think her name is Pat. She's as old as, I don't know, so she's Mrs. something to me as well. I don't know her last name. Mrs. Pat something. um, So I did accept the job, but I sort of turned it down at first because she asked me how, on my application, it was asked how much money did I make at my previous job. So I filled that in, and then um, she offered me less money than I was asked for at my previous job to fill in the blank. She offered me less money than that. And so I said I was going to turn down the job because of her asking me how much, because you don't ask in that scenario. You don't ask someone how much money did you make at a previous job and then offer them less. You could offer them more or you could offer them the same, but you asked. Otherwise, you just don't ask because you have a job that has a certain salary or amount of money per hour, and that's just what the job pays. So she sort of trapped me right there, and I was gonna leave. I was walking out, and she said, "Wait, wait, wait. I will give you as much money as you made at your previous job." See, I didn't ask for that. So let's come clean. How much would a temp agency charge this accounting firm? If I had been hired by a temp agency, which is not true, it was, I'm thinking the temp agency, they have to pay them But now I don't find the money at all. They're an accounting firm. I don't really see how anyone could afford to pay a temp agency more than what they paid me. They didn't pay me as much as if they were paying a whole agency, and then the person who was working for the agency and working for the accounting firm would get something out of that amount of money. Uh, I don't know. I needed that it was temporary, maybe because I don't need a full-time job working at the accounting firm all the time. I don't really need that. I need flexible hours, but I needed food money. I needed the accounting firm to give me food money. And when I was in my house, my parents were still in there, so it cost me money to live there because my parents were in the house. I had to travel. I traveled. I was in the house from 1999, about spring, graduation from university, and then I left in 2000 uh, fall. So I was there for, I don't know, just that much time, about a year and a few months. And the accounting firm knew about where I was living, and Mr. Zuckerman knows my parents are in the house. Yeah, but they didn't, they gave me enough money for food for a year, but they didn't give me enough money for all the people that my parents know that I'm in the house. So I could have worked more. I ended up with somebody like this Grandma Ardeen person. That's not a clean problem from my childhood. She just came out of nowhere and said, I have a biological father. And his name was Erwin Goldstein. And I didn't hear it from her directly. I heard it from this Uncle Harold person, who I know he's not my uncle, but he's calling himself uncle. Uh, there was this Erwin Goldstein problem, which Erwin did something illegal. He asked me over the internet if he could spend a weekend in my house, and I did not invite him to my house. No, because no. So he came into my house and I let him in because I'm not really allowed to see that on the internet or hear that from anyone that you want to come and stay in my house and I didn't invite you. No, well, he did leave, but he didn't leave me without the damages that I don't live there anymore. So the accounting firm didn't take care of that for me. Yeah. Why not? Because what are they doing there at this point? I'm supposed to mention Barry. He's one of the maybe how do you say owners of the accounting firm? Yeah, he has his own maybe larger office. Um, I guess I can't stay in any one place too long because I hold alive, continuous alive, and you people shun. That's what I think I had to leave the accounting firm because they shun. And that's because they are themselves and they shun. They don't leave before they shun. I could give you that much latitude. You have to leave before you shun. You can't fire me because you shun, and I have to leave before I catch you shunning. Yeah. So there's that problem with the accounting firm. They might not say that, but I can say that here as the overlord. Well, I've known Mr. Zuckerman my whole life. I guess you could say from age 5 until age 22, 23. But I don't see him very much, but I just know who he is and he knows who I am. Wow, I can't believe he knows who I am because I've changed my appearance quite a lot. But he does know who I am from mom and dad. They look pretty much the same. So, uh, well, I didn't know he was work. I didn't know about his accounting firm. I did not know that he had a job in an accounting firm. I just know about his house that I'm not in. And there's somebody named Leslie Zuckerman, which is young enough to be his daughter figure, who has some kind of having to do with Cheryl, that she looks like Cheryl. Cheryl's my sister figure by photography. There's going to be a famous photograph of myself's first day at work. I'm not in the photograph, but I can see it, and that's how I know who Cheryl is before I met her. And that's also Leslie is not in that photograph. I have to say she's not in the photograph. She's Leslie. She's not who we know as Cheryl, who was the one in the photograph. But thinking the name of the girl in the photograph is not Cheryl, it's Sarah, Sara with no H. And I actually think she doesn't have a name that way. So Cheryl got the name Cheryl, and Leslie is some thick problem there that is just not solved. But I don't know why, because you're not interested in me. I am interested in me. I'm interested in all of the time between when I was little and growing up. And I need Mr. Zuckerman was interested in that I grew up, and he offered me a job. But what is this employment? Scribner Cohen and Company? Because I had a problem with a Cohen the year before. Eric Cohen, he was a disaster in my life in University of Wisconsin-Madison, but it was there is another Cohen, which is Rhea Cohen, and that's Mom's tennis friend. So that I can afford to work for the Rhea Cohen problem. I can't afford to work for the Eric Cohen problem. She's Mrs. Rhea Cohen to me, and I think her first name is spelled Rhea, like Rhea, something like that. Uh, so I'm thinking this accounting firm Cohen problem is more likely the Eric Cohen problem, which was more recent. But I don't get that. I don't hear that as myself, the soul. I just went there because they had like light duties, administrative assistant, just like filing and using the computer for some light data entry. Um, I don't have any prejudice to do that, but I could have done it as a graduate from high school. I was done with university by then, and they still were able to offer me a high school job. If I was done with high school, I could work there. So I needed more, I needed really something about that my parents were in my house, and I needed food money so I could continue to cook in my house. And I ended up spending the money that they gave me at the accounting firm going to England to worry about why is Rena Adler my sister and she's in England. So I not only had the biological father problem, I had the biological sister problem. And that's not fair that my parents didn't just clear that up and say, we don't know about any biological father of yours. They don't because they have a birthday on myself I didn't give myself, which is February 27th, 1977. And they don't take my statement that I'm not alive that way. I was alive in my house, and they dispute that I was alive in my house. They dispute it so hard that they think I have a birthday and I was adopted from Grandma Ardine, and I don't afford. They ever said that, and I need the accounting firm to pay out keys and banking for myself, and I can work there, but I can't be held to a schedule. I must show up for work. I can't do that. I eat, and I eat that I do other things. I do odd jobs. I do part-time jobs. I do part-time things for that. I need different minds every day because I need a death on myself. I'm not a loitering. And the bank won't give me money directly. It's not due. Why isn't Scribner, Cohen and Company accounting firm interested in that the banking would be giving me money when the accounting firm is not giving me money? They didn't help me with the keys to my house, and they didn't help me with that I needed food money to cook food, but I would have been doing that in my house. It was my house. I grew about an inch and a half in my house in my height. So I didn't want to leave the house because I had grown in there. I don't afford that I'm starting full grown and trying to be living in an residence at my own expense. Unless it's from work, that's what the accounting firm would be good for, is if they helped me to that I grew up and I needed keys and banking. They didn't help me with the keys. I don't know why. I guess I'm lucky that I have an adoption problem and that people were telling me I have biological this father, biological mother, biological sister, but they didn't say that till I was older. Yeah, I don't know why. Well, they have fighting problems with my parents. They don't have a problem with. Got it. But I don't have a problem with biological father and mother because that's due in jail and prison. Are they not in jail and prison? They should be because they starve somebody to death. Well, they weren't in jail and prison as far as I could see. And I don't want to need more relatives. So I approximately did exhaust that I was in my house as an adoption, but I didn't have keys to live elsewhere. That means my parents were really not leaving my house because I grew up so I could have it because I'm me, but I didn't really need them to leave, but they were shunning in my house. Uh, is that how I could be there? Approximately, they were that debt that they were shunning. But why weren't they shunning elsewheres if they can and do? Why weren't they shunning elsewheres? And I was still allowed to be in my house. Do they want that house? What about some other house in the neighborhood? Because I walk outside around Build a Park with the dog, and there's a lot of places that I could live and build a park, and I don't have keys to live in another house near my parents so they can keep shunning in my house if they're not doing anything wrong, right? So, how do I get to state of Arizona? Well, I'm in state of Nevada right now. Yeah.